guys, thanks for joining me. I've got a little fun pop of color on the eyes today. I have been in this series on my TikTok of trying all of these new little Morphe palettes, and I finally got to Python Code. So this is the last one that I've tried on, and I actually am kind of enjoying myself with a little pop of color on the lids. I'll link that below and all the other products that I have on my face today. But the topic of this video is going to be just a little random blast from the past. Sometimes I run into things online, like let's say you're scrolling through Instagram and they pop up like 90s makeup or early 2000s makeup. And then I remembered, oh yeah, I've got that drawer in my closet. One single drawer. I'm not hoarding all the makeup I've ever owned, but I have one drawer where I put significant products where it's like, okay, this is beyond the age of like putting it on my skin anymore, but I want to remember that this product existed. Like this was a key element through my makeup journey and I want to hold on to that. So I have one drawer, and to this day there might be certain things that I'm like close to using up or just something I've loved and I don't want to trash it, so I put it in that drawer. And I feel like I've done a video visiting that drawer at one point in time or another, but it was a long time ago. So we're going back and I thought I would just chat about some things that are going to make you go like, oh my gosh, I haven't thought about that in forever. And at the end, I'm going to mention 3 palettes that I really wish would come back. 3 just iconic loved palettes to me. But I just went through that drawer and I started pulling out random things that just felt really meaningful to me. One thing, do you remember the L'Oreal Hip range? Yeah, L'Oreal Hip, high intensity pigments. They had these amazing eyeshadow duos. This one's really been used a lot, especially like this shade right here. I love that kind of murky brownish bronze. This is called Forgiving. And you remember on the back side, there's a little place for the applicator to live, but I loved that range. They had an amazing mascara. They were doing these little eyeshadow duos. They eventually had some really good lip products as well. Super pigmented glosses as I recall, but I mean, what a great thing that L'Oreal was doing, and now we're hard pressed to like find any eyeshadow from L'Oreal, but those were awesome. And I remember like the texture and the quality of those really was up there with like MAC shadows, which at the time would have been, I guess, people's gold standard for eyeshadow. So that was cool. I also found this. This is just an empty container, but Everyday Minerals. Taking me back to the apartment days, I remember using a lot of Everyday Minerals stuff and kind of comparing it to Bare Minerals, and mineral makeup was just super hot, and I had this container, I guess this empty refillable jar. But it's crazy because I was thinking about Everyday Minerals the other day as I was just sitting on the couch and I was like, I wonder if they're still around. And they would give you like a whole entire group of samples just to try to figure out your shade. Does anybody remember that? It's kind of foggy for me, but I think they had some really good coverage mineral makeup. Hello, Milani Minerals blush in Mai Tai. For a long, long time, this was my idea of the perfect blush shade. It was that perfect peachy pink, right? I know I got so many people onto this one. It was much loved. It's very pigmented, so it's really kind of impressive that this much pan was hit there. But yeah, I remember talking about that blush to no end. And Milani has continued to crank out great blushes, but like that was just a great standard little powder blush that they did. This one's going way back, but I held on to this little Maybelline Dream Mousse concealer. Remember this, and their Dream Mousse blushes were super good as well. It all of course started with the Dream Matte Mousse, the larger tub of foundation. That was the thing, and I still have that. They still sell that. I remember seeing someone not all that long ago raving about it, and I kind of got back into it a bit too. But there were some amazing spin-off products created as a result of that foundation. So you had the blushes, and this concealer was so good. Dream Mousse Concealer, Light 4.5 was the shade. Oh, this is sad. It's all completely dried out. But the moisture in this, it wasn't sticky, tacky, but they created like the perfect moisture level in this concealer. It was so pigmented. It was rich, but it wasn't too heavy. They were staying somewhat true to the mousse idea by keeping it kind of light, but yet it was more concentrated and a little more moisture than the way the foundation was. And I just remember this had a big following. A lot of us love that. Oh my gosh, I've got some eye products here. Here's an iconic eyeliner. The Essence Gel Liner in Midnight in Paris. Yes, the richest black. I feel like this was compared to MAC constantly. If you could see like all the tiny little brush strokes that have been taken in this product. Gel liner was huge for a time, was it not? We had our little teeny tiny precision brushes, and this was so soft, like not the least bit dry. It felt almost inky and ultra pigmented with one swipe. We loved the Essence Gel Liner. And I only remember experiencing this in the black color. I can't think of any other shade that had a hold on me. It was just the black. Wet n Wild eyeshadows that looked like this. The little 6 pans that were so good. There was like a goldeny yellowish one. There were blues. This was the one called Lust. Oh, I mean, we were really enjoying Wet n Wild's pigment at this time. And obviously Wet n Wild's still crushing it in the eyeshadow department. But remember that larger like greenish one called Comfort Zone, wasn't it? And then these were out for a time. And it was just kind of known that if you wanted pigmented shadow in the drugstore and you wanted it in some kind of a palette form, you were going to go here. NYX singles that look like this. This is the one called Burgundy Pearl. I'm sure you can imagine me in that color. I had quite a few of these little NYX singles, and also from NYX, remember these trio palettes? Remember shopping on cherryculture.com for NYX? So this is the eyeshadow trio. It was just named according to the shades inside. Golden, Rust, and Walnut Bronze. Fall in a trio right there. Yes, loved it. Loved stuff like that from NYX. That was the era of me discovering NYX for the first time, and it takes me back to also like being in an Ulta for the first time, like getting a NYX lip liner and getting a NYX lip gloss. Speaking of NYX lip gloss, these, the ones packaged like this that had the little cute like bow on the top, and they were called Mega Shine lip glosses. And can anybody guess the name of this one? Do you remember a really iconic shade that everyone was talking about, and it did not fit the color here? It was called Beige. This was NYX Beige, and it was very loved by me and so many others, but that pinky color, like what? Creamy, like full coverage, high pigment lip gloss. Honestly, I think it's probably a little better formula than the butter glosses. A little richer, a little more thickness, more likely to hang on the lips longer, but I would never have called it sticky either. That was a really good thing. And then, oh my gosh, the Revlon glosses that were shaped like this. This is taking me back like pre-YouTube. This is taking me back to weekends where me and Pup would go like see a movie or go out to eat, and then we'd end up at Walgreens getting magazines and lip gloss. This was a shade Pink Pop from Revlon, but there were so many great colors that were in that packaging for Revlon. Gosh, I hope you guys are just going off in the comments with memories of this stuff. I hope I'm not the only one remembering stuff like Revlon lip butters. Yes. Revlon lip butters, the way that packaging was, the way every tube was the color on the outside that it was on the inside. This is the shade Wild Watermelon. Shiny gloss-like lipsticks that made you feel like lip balm, but yet much more pigment than a tinted lip balm was. Really great product, and definitely in their Super Lustrous line. I feel like they've brought back the idea of these and the feel of these with something called their Shine formula. Another great shiny lipstick, Sonia Kashuk. Remember these? Shine Luxe Sheer Lip Colors. This is the shade Sheer Pink Lust, and I remember this being kind of a full-colored, shiny nude lip, basically. I use this stuff so much. They had other really good shades, but talk about like a top-notch makeup product coming from Sonia Kashuk. Much loved, really good formula. I feel like what we're coming back to with everything I'm seeing out in front of me right now are like formulas that were kind of ahead of their time. Really pigmented blushes, really nice eyeshadows, a great gel liner, these lipsticks. I mean, people like to talk like currently, like, oh my gosh, drugstore's popping off, drugstore's better than high-end. Like, drugstore has had it going on in a lot of ways for a long time. People just weren't willing to dig for those diamonds in the rough, or maybe acknowledge those diamonds in the rough. On this channel, we've been doing it for years. How do you guys get up at exactly 6:17 every morning?
We don't.
Yes, you do. It's always 6:17 that you come in here.
Oh, Mommy, I get up at 6:15, and then it takes Nookie 2 minutes to wake up.
A few more things still before we get into talking about the palettes. I'd totally forgotten that Revlon at one point in time had little lock-in shadows that worked like this. So they got us all buying singles, or did they sell them as a chunk? I can't remember. The shades I had here were Plum, Taupe, Copper, and Bone. And yeah, you could make your own little palette. Can you imagine how obsessed I was with the concept? When I saw this in my drawer, I did a double take. I totally let go of that memory. Oh, but I really remember this. The Revlon Photo Ready Bronzer in Bronzed and Chic. Why in the world do they not still have this out? Because I think they still sell like a Photo Ready translucent powder. This bronzer was so so good. It was 4 tones of bronzer. It was the perfect bronzer because of the 4 tones, and they weren't all really swirled up, and I kind of liked that. It was like you had your deeper part at the bottom, your lighter part at the top. I used the heck out of it clearly, and I don't think this was the first one I went through, but it was nicely pigmented. It was smooth. Like, bring it back, Revlon. Oh, and this. Apparently sometimes I just hold on to things that make me laugh. Remember the L'Oreal One Sweep? Yes, so where they give you this giant applicator, and I know I did a video talking about this, giant applicator, and you're gonna pass through 3 shades at once and then like swipe it on your eyes, and then you're gonna be good to go and you don't need to blend or do anything else. Yeah, not quite, but I held on to that for sentimental reasons, I guess. But those are a bunch of the individual products I pulled out of this drawer. There was even more stuff in there, but I've also held on to a lot of palettes that were meaningful to me, and I thought I would pull out 3 that I would love to see come back again. Here's one of them, the Too Faced Natural at Night palette. This palette had such a hold on me. This was pre-kids. This was like, oh, let's go out. And I loved pulling looks together with this. Look at the olive tones at the bottom. I love busting out an olive look with this, or the dark browns. I'm just like, it's very nostalgic seeing the Too Faced packaging, that cardboard box packaging. Takes me back to like my first natural eye palette, you know, it was great. And I think this could totally use a reboot. That was a great palette, a great little neutral mix. I love that. And oh, this one might have been Urban Decay's best work. I'll say it. Like the Urban Decay Smoked palette. Yes, you have to zip around. Urban Decay, you don't have to make this with a zipper again, but could you just put this back out, because this was wonderful. Look at those basics on top. You've got brown, you've got your lighter creamy colors, these jewel tones down here that were so pigmented and true to their color. It was just great for pulling off that smoky eye with some kind of a fun tone in it. It could be your lower lash line pop, it could be all over the lid, but then you had absolutely everything else you needed to work with that look. And blackout, I mean, just dark as night, that shade. Some mid-tone neutrals with shimmer, mushroom. Bar Lust is down here. We've got a liner that they gave us as well. But that was an iconic palette to me. I loved it so much. I remembered working with absolutely everything in here, and I think that would be so cool if they brought that back. To be honest, when I look at this, I think that's a better palette than Naked was. Yeah, I said it. And then the Smashbox Photo Op Mega Palette. I will never forget, I was in the other house, I was watching QVC, I watched this being presented, and I thought that looks like the best thing I have ever seen, and an insane value for everything they're putting in here. Actual Smashbox products, it was actual shadows from the line, actual cream liners that they make. They were giving you everything Smashbox all in one. Smashbox could bring themselves back single-handedly by putting out something like this again. But here's the thing, they had all these different trios at the time. You could spend, what, $20 to $30, maybe more, on one of their trios, and here, all of those existing trios, they put them in a palette. Like, it was a wild value, and the quality was so good. Maybe I should lift up that window so you can see a little bit better, but I mean, amazing. We had cream liners, we had brow colors, 2 giant blushes, highlighters, lip colors. All stuff they actually sold in their line, and more shadows over here, okay? I kind of can't believe they did that, but that felt so cool. You felt like you had everything they made, and Smashbox was really hot during that time. So it was just even more exciting to have this, and you just felt like you had this entire wardrobe of everything. And it wasn't just one of those generic palettes, it was really good stuff. I know I talked about that a lot, and for good reason. That was an incredible buy. I probably got it as a today's special value for $45 or something like that. I can't even imagine how much more it's worth than that price. But that's my blast from the past, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what memories this stuff rekindles for you, and let me know if you'd like to see more videos like this, because I have held on to a lot of palettes, and like I said, a solid drawer full of things that I just didn't want to forget about. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys soon. I love you. Bye.